So we turn to the world of cricket. And you probably won't need telling that England have been pretty abject over at the Cricket World Cup, coming home with their tail between their legs. They were the holders, of course. Not been a lot of pressure on Matthew Mott, the coach, but willing to take one for the team is the director of cricket, Rob Key, who has said, it's my fault. I was too much into baseball, too much into the test team, and we just took a punt that it all come right over in India. But
I don't agree with that.
should he carry the can? Let's have a chat with a pal of his, of course, a man we often turn to on cricket, the former England fast bowler, Steve Harmison. Good afternoon, Steve. Hey, Steve.
He's not coming on because Newcastle lost. No, I think England failed to recognise the way other teams have approached the tournament. It's not 20-over cricket.
Newcastle. You said Newcastle. You mean England?
England.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Not every... Sorry, you've put me off now. They failed to recognise the way that other teams approached it. It's not a T20 game. You have to play... You have to go hard in the first 10 overs, conserve wickets, get to the last 10 overs, and then have a real thrash about. And that's what all the best teams have done.
That's been the blueprint, hasn't it?
And I just think, listening to Mott afterwards, you think he must have been watching a different tournament to us. I don't know. I mean, I just thought England were absolutely dismal in this tournament. Really.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they've announced the squads as well. The other big worry is Jofra Archer, isn't it, really, who went over to India. They'd hoped he'd be okay, but he had to come back, and now he's not been picked for the forthcoming games, the Tour of the West Indies.
Too many good players didn't perform, which would suggest that something was going on in the whole background with the way they approached it.
Well, we had a problem with Harmy's line, but we've got him back now. Hi, Steve.
Afternoon, boys.
Yeah, it was interesting stuff from Rob Key, actually. He seems to be just taking it all on himself, which I think, look, he wants to cover the back of the captain and the coach who've been under pressure, but I don't think he can take full responsibility.
No, I don't think he was taking full responsibility. I think he was just trying to explain how difficult the schedule is from the red ball and white ball team. I think he was taking ownership of, well, we give Ben Stokes a hell of a lot in the Ashes. We give Owen Morgan, Josh Buttler a hell of a lot to get T20 World Cup sorted, and we probably didn't have either A, time, or B, have the players to give them time to prepare well for, as well as a lot of the other sort of county stuff where the New Zealand series has to go on and the Ireland series has to go on because of where clubs likes of Bristol and Chester Street and others have to have international fixtures. I think all of that into the melting pot. I think he's trying to take ownership of that. I don't think he's taken ownership of we have just not been good enough, and then that's the player's responsibility.
I mean, it's difficult to blame the other factors. You're right, Steve, but the Ashes is not a fact. I mean, look at Australia. They've been, after a bit of a tricky start, they've been very good in this tournament.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, but I think they've got players who cross formats who have been very, very durable. The likes of Hazelwood had a little bit of an injury scare going into it. Stark and Cummins, they're durable when it comes to playing cricket. Our crossovers aren't. When you look at Ben Stokes, he wasn't in a position to play. Mark Wood only bowled 3 overs of competitive bowling before the World Cup, and I think you can see that that had a little bit of an effect. Chris Wokes is another one who had a little bit of an injury. So the players that have come out of the Ashes, from Australia's point of view, are probably more durable as cricketers than what England were going into the World Cup. But you can blame X, you can blame Y, you can look at any excuse. The beauty about what's happened over the course of the last 5 weeks is nobody's looked to shirk responsibility. Ben Stokes came out and said we weren't good enough. Mark Wood said we were just simply not good enough. Josh Buttler many times having to do the press. He hasn't tried to hide anything. He said we weren't good enough and we have to take this on as players. So has Mo and Ali. So from that point of view, it's not as though they're trying to blame anything. They have actually taken responsibility for not being good enough in this tournament.
There's a lot of chat about the future of 50-over cricket. Do you think it sort of depends on whether India win it? If they win it, I reckon they basically will carry on with it. And if they get knocked out in the semi-finals, that'll be the end of it. You never see it again.
Yeah, I tell you what, you sort of see it with a joke in voice, but I think 50-over cricket in 2011 was dead. And all of a sudden, India won the World Cup in their back garden, and it sort of revived it. And I think we are in a similar position now, where there has to be some compromise from boards and ICC and in the franchise system to try and make everything work together. But I think in the next sort of 3 to 5 years, the only 50 over competitions that we're going to be on, or the only time they're going to play 50 overs, is potentially at ICC events, i.e. World Cup or Champions Trophy.
What did you make of the sort of changes to the squad for the White Ball Tour of the Windies? A couple of changes, a few dropouts, a few players being rested, a couple of new faces as well.
Yeah, there's some interesting names there. I'm pleased to see the likes of Turner and Tongue get their game, get the chance to play the sort of longer format of the white ball game. I think it was important that we did rest some of our older senior players. Somebody like Liam Livingston, I think he's quite lucky. I think to be on that trip because he hasn't really. Liam's somebody I look at and go, he's got so much potential. He's got so much potential. He's got so much potential, and we've been saying that for a number of years now, and he hasn't really fulfilled it to a level because he is undoubtedly a talented cricketer, but unfortunately he hasn't had the numbers to back it up, and he's in his 30s now. So I think he has to perform now, and I hope he does because I think a strong England side, if Liam Livingston performs, he balances the team out very, very well because he's bowling, he's batting, he's a very good fielder. But unfortunately for performance numbers, he hasn't really had it. But the likes of Sam Curran are going to have to stand up. Harry Brook's going to get his chance. Obviously, I'm pleased Josh Butler's going as captain and leader. So I think it's a good squad. It's a good group of players going to hit the next cycle of 2 years in 50 over cricket anyway.
Amazing story finally from Australia on the cricket. This was Premier League Division 3 on the Gold Coast. Surfers Paradise versus Mudgiraba. They needed 5 runs from the final over, 6 wickets in hand. And on comes the skipper, Gareth Morgan, and takes 6 wickets in 6 balls to win the game. What an amazing story. I mean, what was your most... Wisden. It will be in Wisden. What was your most in 1 over, Harmy? Can you remember?
3, I think. I got 3 in an over. I got a hat-trick in twice in first-class cricket. I think I got 4 and 5, 4 in an over once, I think, possibly against Worcester for Durham. But even in junior cricket, I've never really seen anything that. I've seen people get 5, but never 6. So what I want to know is why is he, as a captain, why is he not bowled himself a little bit earlier? He could have been in a better position.
Yes,
he could have had 3 extra pints in the bar if you had done it earlier.
It'd be a bit tight to sack him from the captaincy after that, wouldn't it? Really,
absolutely.
Yeah. And on a more serious note, obviously you're an Ashington lad, and I've seen a number of TV crews up there since the death of Sir Bobby Charlton. I mean, along with Jack and Jackie Milburn. And so, I mean, a little town like yours could have produced so many great people from the world of sport. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Less than 30,000 population of Ashington, and the 3 names you've mentioned there. Obviously, myself, my brother played professional cricket. Mark Wood, Michael Oliver, Ben Ferry, the golfer. So, multiple winner on the European tour. It's great to be associated with Bobby, and Bobby doesn't get the love from the north like what Jack did, but what people are forgetting to remember is Bobby Charlton left Ashington when he was 15-year-old to go and play for the best club in the world. He became the best player in the world for a number of years. He came back a couple of times to help Ashington Football Club out, brought Manchester United up. A wonderful man from a great family in this area, because obviously he was related to Jackie Milburn as well. So it was sad what happened to Bob. I didn't know Bob as much as I knew, obviously, Jack. But a great man, and to say we've had one of the greatest footballers ever to play football for England come from Ashington, it is a special town. Yeah.
Harmy, thanks very much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.